Hello.
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Holly. How are you?
I'm very well. Everyone, this is Ed Keates. Ed, say hi.
Hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. Thanks for coming to my tiny little box room in my house.
Well, thanks for coming to my tiny little studio in Madrid and having my coffee break with me.
Yeah, hello Madrid. This is like a Eurovision. Hello Madrid, this is London calling.
So true. So perhaps you could tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do,
Sure.
a bit of background, your whole life story, in about 2 minutes.
Well, life story. I was born at a very early age. So I'm an actor and a writer, which, as many actors and writers don't do all the time. You have to earn money other ways. So I also work in the theatre, which is now currently closed, like the rest of every theatre and all of London and worldwide.
Most of the world, yeah.
So yeah, looking at sort of like the huge change, the interesting thing about this period has been thinking like it's really strange that social places that you're used to visiting, like pubs, restaurants, theatres, cinemas, art museums and galleries, are all just empty right now. That's like I remember like a few days into being home, because I started working from home for a little bit.
What work are you doing from home? Sorry.
So I work as a box office assistant. Okay. At a very prestigious theatre in London, and yeah, love the job. So it was really weird not being part of the team and sort of working from home, turning your, I always just say, never take my work home with me. It's great, and then I did. And so we would keep in touch via video call, like twice a day, but it just wasn't the same. And then a week later, I became furloughed, which means now that the government are covering a substantial part of my wage whilst I do not work at all. So it's been it's like, how do I use this time now to stay sane, which I think is the sort of it's important to stay safe. So important to stay safe, but staying sane has been like my priority during this really, really strange and new time for us all.
Yeah. And have you been spending this time alone, or are you locked in with family? Or
I am locked in with my wife and my mum. So yeah, it's really odd sharing a space all together, because we tend to cross over quite a lot, especially if I would work quite late or finish late, come home late. So wouldn't see the family as much as I do now. I think anybody would always say that you spend more time with the people you work with than you do your own family, and now we're kind of living the reverse of that, which is also new.
Yeah. I mean, you are not alone, I'm sure. Feeling that you're like,
no, but I have to say, like, I am grateful not to be alone. I can't imagine. I know some people are very at home, like my auntie's totally by herself, and we ring her every other day, and she's completely fine. Yeah. She's just like, yeah, I'm reading, I'm gardening, I'm doing things. She's keeping busy, and she's, whether it's a front or not, she doesn't seem to be having like a bad day. Whereas I can't imagine. I wouldn't be able to cope. I don't think. Yeah. I'm grateful to be with people.
Good. So in terms of the theme of this whole event, embracing change, you came to mind because you've had a lot of changey things happen in life, and I've known you for a long time, and you have this really calm, grounded presence no matter what's going on, particularly among, for those of you who don't know, Ed and I used to work in the theater together, and the theater is full of people that are like, everything's amazing, everything's awful, rah! And Ed was always the one that's like, just take it one day at a time, guys. So when I thought of sort of change and dealing with it, you came to mind because of just how you are. So could you maybe talk a little bit about, I don't know, whatever comes to mind with that subject and how you deal with it, or if you have any advice for people or anything you can give us?
I think up until recently, would always say I'm really good at adapting to situations. Even if I might not like situations, but it won't take me long to go, right, okay, well, this is how it is. This is what we have to do. And that's what we're going to do. But this is generally like the first time where I have struggled with this change, with this break from routine, with this break from seeing people I would normally see, not being able to go to a friend's house, not being able to see family, things like that. And my wife hasn't seen her parents since Christmas. So that's rubbish. And yes, we can video call, and this technology is wonderful, but we all know it's not the same. So, but I don't know, in terms of advice, in terms of how, I don't know if I have advice. Like I said, I get to a point where I will wake up and I will just create things to do. I've been creating little videos and things like that, which I've been putting on YouTube, mostly for my own amusement. But I'm from an actor point of view, just coming up with characters and just being silly.
And they're very funny.
Thank you.
I'm going to share. I hope to share a couple of these videos so people can check out what you've been doing.
but also, like, a big part of the biggest part of my life is creativity. So it's like that is what always keeps me sane. When I'm not doing it, regardless of what situation we're in, whether we're locked in our homes because of a virus or whether I'm going out to work every day, if I'm not being creative, I do tend to get quite depressed. So that's what keeps things ticking over. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. But then I think a friend of mine really hit the nail on the head, where she said, I'll go through 3 days of being like really proactive and feeling great, and then the next day just bang, just for no reason at all, just don't want to get out of bed, don't want to do anything, feel like I could sleep all day. It's that strange sort of cycle of depression in a way. But I think it's because I keep coming back to these things, like all these empty places there are all over the country and all over the world, all these places that would be filled with people, where memories would be being made, and I don't know, it just feels so strange and very sad. So I've found this time quite upsetting from that point of view.
But I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I mean, I think a lot of people are sort of rushing through that part of it a little bit, and like trying to get to, we can still be productive and positive, and and I think it's really important. That's an image. This is where I see like your artist brain, like the image of empty museums, empty theaters. That didn't sort of come into my head. I mean, theaters, yes, a little bit, but those sort of images of those places being empty, I mean, it's a difficult thing for everyone to deal with, especially because we're all separate from each other. What do you think will happen? I'm curious, do you have any thoughts on what will happen as people come out of this? Because I have my own little sneaky hope. But I'm wondering what you think might happen to things like theater and museums and cultural events.
It's a very, very sort of razor-sized coin of which two sides exist, and I think everything's going to be absolutely re-embraced with open arms and with such want to get back together. People that love going to the theatre want to do that. People that want to go to the cinema. People want to go to concerts and gigs. When I think of all the music festivals that have been cancelled as well, comic conventions or wedding fairs or whatever it is that people love to go to, I think there will be like a real thirst to go to that next gig, go to that next play, go and see that musical. And maybe also go and do that thing that you've always put off as well, because you thought, oh well, money's always in the way, I can't afford it, because those things aren't cheap, and but they should be treats for yourself, and this should be something to be celebrated. But my worry is the other side, which is the cynical, oh my god, the world is run by capitalism side of which is like, well, if the economy isn't really going around and money's circulating, people aren't making money, businesses are collapsing. I mean, just within a couple of weeks of being a lockdown, 37 acting agencies closed in London.
Yeah.
And that's just a very small part of a very big business. I have been privy to some information as well about like how they're going to be treating like film industry now, and there's going to be some really huge changes. And there's not going to be, people aren't going to be jet setting off to other countries making it. Everything's going to be more domesticated. Crew's going to be much smaller. Crew's going to be asked to double up as extras, so they don't have to get more people. Like it's going to change everything. And I think businesses might change as well, because some people have realised, yes, they can work from home and they don't have to do that 2-hour commute. And be stuck on a stuffy train or in traffic and burning another hole in the ozone due to petrol and whatnot. So I think, I don't know, there's so many things that are that have come out of this which are really good, which I think will propel people forward and change the way people think. But again, my cynicism also creeps in and goes, but people forget really quickly. And that's what I worry about the most.
So I think maybe part of the message of this
sorry, I didn't want to break it down.
No, but I think the part of the message of this is that like people do forget, and I've been having similar thoughts in terms of, you know, people are sitting at home listening to music and watching TV series, and then when this is over, will those people be supporting the arts in some way? I really hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And I think the more we can spread that out in the world in areas that are not just necessarily artists supporting artists, but in fact business and people who do have the means to say like, look, the whole world shut down and the arts kept everyone going.
Yeah, and not just the arts, just all the other jobs that are keeping things going, which people would usually sort of turn their nose at. You know, you know, someone simple as someone who just stacks shelves in a supermarket who is keeping food there for people to go. It's been really crazy having to go and sort of wait an hour to get into a supermarket. And see very little on the shelves as well.
I think we're going to end up just having to really learn how to take it one day at a time and notch down the this year I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this, and just go, today what am I going to do?
I think
tomorrow.
We kind of need to treat our life a little bit like a little bit like lockdown in that way. We do have to take it one day at a time. And you know, God, if I hear someone else say to me, well, you know, King Lear was written by Shakespeare during the plague. Well, that's because he was William Shakespeare. Now I have to be William Shakespeare, as well as like all the other things I've been told I need to be in this business. It's you know, the pressure on being productive and it's been great, because I've been speaking to other friends, and some of them have like a huge list of all these things they've been doing, and that's great for them, and that's what they've needed to stay sane. Sometimes I've woken up and thought, you know what, today I just need to do nothing and not think about anything and just bring calm. I've been doing these online classes. My cousin, he teaches, which is something I can send a link for. It's called Yishuan, which is a Chinese sort of art of standing, basically, and doing very similar,
really cool,
very, very small movements. I will invite you to the next one. It'll be on Thursday. And it's and it's all about visualizing. It's not about like, it's not an endurance exercise. It's not about it's not about stretching or anything. It brings so much calm. It's lovely. It's just kind of like meditating, but with a very gentle movement.
That sounds really cool.
Less so than Tai Chi. So
really cool. Well, let's leave it there. My coffee break is over. So
okay.
Thank you so much for chatting with me, though, and it's just a real pleasure to speak to someone who's in the performing arts but isn't I mean this in the best possible way, isn't like so famous and successful that they just have like everything sorted out and they don't have to worry. And you know, like there are people who this is their job, and now they're in this situation, and how are they dealing with it? So yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time.
No, this has been great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.